Become a ruler of a medieval barony, build cities, raise armies, develop technologies, and more in Dark Ages. Thank you for joining me today at Tantrum House Studio D. I'm Kevin Delp. Dark Ages is a historically based civilization board game for 1 to 4 players. It takes about 1 to 2 hours to play. It's being published by Board and Dice, and they are bringing it to Kickstarter, and they send us this prototype copy to look at. Players receive a player board that they'll place their farms on. They'll also receive their military units, nobleman discs, and some resources. You'll also start with a ruler and the unique culture cards that correspond. This ruler will show where your starting province is with a city and other items. You'll set up the main board with barbarian tokens random side up and production buildings. There's also a culture board that has churches, action cards, culture cards, and tokens. Here's a super quick overview of Dark Ages. Players are going to be taking actions by using their nobleman tokens and even reacting throughout the game as well, which are a different type of action, and sometimes passing, which allows you to claim titles and sell your resources and more. All of this to try to get the most points in the game. There are a number of actions to choose from, like building, developing, culture, researching, recruiting, or maneuvering. You can even take one free action as the active player, and that could be something like doubling an action if you have an active title card, or settling, which is building your first farm in a given area. But let's take a look at some of those main actions in a little bit more detail. You'll place your nobleman token on an action space that you want to take. You can even place on top of another token. I'll talk about what happens once the third token is placed in a pile later in the video. For building, you could build a city, a building, or even your second farm in a province you control. They all have abilities and prices that are listed on your player board. For developing culture, you could get a culture card from the culture board, any one card to the left of your culture token. So moving up the culture board is important so you can access more cards. You could research by adding and upgrading civil and military cards to your player area. These cards are interesting because civil technology can be upgraded throughout the game to gain better and better abilities throughout the game, and you can choose what side to play for the military technologies based on what level you currently are on for that type. When recruiting, you pay the cost of the unit. Prices are on your board or the cards that you have. The last action is called maneuvering, which allows you to move your units. There's a couple steps involved. One of them is an army upkeep step, and then there's also battling that could happen as well, and I'll talk about that a little later in the video. Reactions are also a possibility. The bottom token is taken out when a pile reaches 3 tokens and goes to one of the reaction spots below. These reactions help you do many things like sell resources, get more culture, get resources, and more. The reactions are a great way to progress in the game, and you can sort of plan out your turns in advance and put those tokens in the right area to help you. Now, instead of taking a regular turn, you could instead pass, and you can do that when you become the active player, and you're going to have to pass if you run out of nobleman tokens. There are a number of steps that you're going to have to take, like getting your tokens back, selling your resources, maybe getting a title card and things like that. The title cards are gained by having a majority in certain areas and help you in the game, and also give you end game points. You'll also be battling throughout the game. Many times it will be with barbarians, but can be with other players. The defender will muster units based on if they control farms or a city in the area. And then battle in 3 phases as shown on the player board: volley, charge, and then melee. You'll be rolling dice and assessing hits based on what you rolled compared to what the unit requires. The dice colors are different to represent the different kinds of units. The game end is triggered a number of ways if a certain number of cities are built, a number of churches are built, someone reaches the end of the culture track, or upgrades 4 technologies to level 3. Then you'll count up points. Points based on your technologies, your buildings, where your disc is on the culture track, and on where it is on the warehouse track, your title cards, and a point for each gold. And whoever has the most points wins. Now, we have the prototype of the Holy Roman Empire Dark Ages version. You can also get the Legacy of Charlemagne version that has the same rule set, but has new rulers, it has new buildings, of course, and new map. You can even get both versions, combine them together to make one massive game that can play up to 8 players. This game is extremely scalable, with many of the cards showing which ones to play with based on the player counts. Now this has a lot of 4X parts to the gameplay. What I mean by that, it has exploring, it has expanding, it has exploiting, and of course it has exterminating. I think you even see a little bit of exterminating and exploring with the barbarian tokens. They give you rewards when you defeat them that can hopefully really help your gameplay and strategy. I really like how the nobleman tokens work. What action should I take? When should I take those certain actions? When will I be able to react? And when is the best time to pass? Should I wait till I've used all my nobleman tokens, or should I try to do a little bit earlier? And the game comes with modules that sort of are like micro expansions. In the prototype, there was already a number of modules listed. These are going to make the game way more thematic. They come with the complexity level. It comes with the number of players needed, and of course the components that are needed. One of them, for instance, uses these cool special buildings. Now, I really appreciate all the cool minis that are in the game, from the buildings to the military units. Now, this game looks massive, and it is, but it's cool that it plays in 1 to 2 hours. So if you're looking for a game with this theme and want to build your own civilization, then check out Dark Ages, coming from Board and Dice on Kickstarter. And as always, we would love for you to subscribe to Tantrum House and hit that like button for this video.